Why wait to see if you'll get something you like this Valentine's Day when you can go to BlueNile.com and find something you'll love? Whether you're looking to treat yourself to a little winter sparkle or show a galentine how much you appreciate them, Blue Nile offers a wide selection of high-quality designs, expert guidance, and free 30-day returns for the ultimate peace of mind. You can even design your own jewelry. Right now, save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Are negative Google reviews hurting your business? Don't let unfair feedback cost you customers. At Webamax, we specialize in removing false, misleading, and damaging reviews so your online reputation stays strong. Our expert team works quickly and legally to clean up your digital presence, helping you rebuild trust. Visit us on the web at www.gowebamax.com. That's GOWEBIMAX.com, or text us for a free quote at 856-840-8343. Don't let bad reviews define you. Get immediate help from Webamax.
This episode is brought to you by Love Hurts. Kiwi Kwan has had quite a career, from childhood roles in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and The Goonies to a recent Academy Award win for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But now Ki finally stars as a leading man in the film Love Hurts. Love Hurts is the perfect date night movie with its mix of over-the-top action, comedy, and a ton of heart. Love Hurts. Only at theaters February 7th.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Super Bowl edition of the Kelly Green Hour, as we are less than 48 hours away from Super Bowl 59 kicking off between your Philadelphia Eagles and the two-time defending Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. I'm your host, LJ Harrell, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Connor Donald. It has been about a little less than 2 weeks, but we're back and we're ready to talk Super Bowl 59, give our predictions, keys to the game, what to watch for, and anything in between. Connor, how's it going, man?
Man, like I said right before we came on the air, I completely tuned out of the national media from about Wednesday or Thursday last week, because these 2 weeks are the longest 2 weeks. I tuned in a little bit today just to hear the reaction to the Hall of Fame stuff, because that's about the most interesting thing, was the Hall of Fame and the MVP going to Josh Allen and stuff. But otherwise, they were just filling gaps all over the place. So I'm just so excited. 48 hours is going to be the longest 48 hours, but I am so pumped.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much stuff you can talk about for 2 weeks. I mean, there used to be a time when the Super Bowl when there was only a week between the championship games and the Super Bowl. San Diego, we'll find out. I haven't talked like this much in about 2 weeks.
You sound great, by the way. Like, this is the best you've sounded in 2 months. So let's not jinx it.
Now I'm going to start coughing. Don't jinx it, though. No, but I appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see how it goes over the next 45 minutes or so. As I'm about to. Oh, I'm not. Okay. So before we jump into the game, as always, follow us on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. Follow Connor on Twitter at Connor10. Follow me on Twitter at LJHarrell54. And follow the Eagles Pinpool Network on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcast at Eagles Pinpool Network. Be sure to rate, review, like, subscribe, and all of that. And if you're tuning in live, let us know your thoughts on the Super Bowl, your prediction, your MVP, an offensive key, a defensive key, players on offense and defense to watch. And obviously, majority of people that are going to be tuning in are Eagles fans. Does any Eagle fan think that they have no chance? Obviously, we want the Eagles to win, but is this just going to be a coronation for the Kansas City Chiefs? Like they're walking into the Caesar Superdome in New Orleans, and it's pretty much going to be a Kansas City coronation, a Kansas City party. Do we have anybody that actually thinks that? It's out there. I love to hear differing opinions.
Well, I was going to say the national media thinks so, because for some of the day, 1 or 2 of the days, I did see some chatter about already talking about what about a 4-peat, and I was like, listen, let's get beyond the 3-peat before. That's when you've run out of things to talk about. You can't crown or start talking about 4-peat till the 3-peat happens. Because, as much as people have talked up this Eagles team, when you look at the picks that people have made, there's about one person in every batch of 4 or 5 that picks the Eagles. So for everything that everybody's saying, it's...
Now, I don't watch Get Up. I mean, ESPN shows have jumped the shark at this point. But if I'm not mistaken, I think one day everybody picked the Chiefs, and then another day, the same people picked the Eagles. So, like, they're all trying to hedge their own bets, and this is why the national media, even some local media, are trash.
Well, I remember seeing a picture, and Bart Scott's the only one who actually stuck with the Eagles, the only one, and he picked to beat the Commanders. Exactly. Yeah.
So before we jump into the game, the NFL awards ceremony was yesterday. Saquon Barkley, did not win MVP. He finished in third. Josh Allen got it over Lamar Jackson. There was a lot of talk about that. Saquon did win Offensive Player of the Year. Zach Bond finished in fifth in Defensive Player of the Year. Quinyon Mitchell finished second, and Cooper DeJean finished fourth in Defensive Rookie of the Year, while Jared Verse won it, and his teammate Brandon Fisk finished third. So you had 4 players from 2 teams finish in the top 4 in Defensive Rookie of the Years. Patrick Surtain II won Defensive Player of the Year. It's only the second time I think a corner has won it since 2010, which is crazy. I mean, like, I love Patrick Surtain being an Alabama fan. Like, if the Eagles didn't take Devontae Smith, I wanted them to take Patrick Surtain in that draft. He is so good. Trying to think. The best play wasn't the Saquon backwards hurdle, by the way. It was the Jaden Daniels Hail Mary against Chicago, which is crazy because we've seen Hail Marys before. You've never seen somebody hurdle somebody backwards, but that's a different story.
And I mean, you have to award that kind of, like, you can't just give it to Jane Daniels and the Commanders. You kind of got to semi-reward it to the Chicago Bears because they were the ones who made a mockery of it in the first place.
Yeah, that one corner that was in the
Tyreek Stevenson,
who was messing with the fans,
like he won,
trolling with the fans, and then he's the one I think who tipped it back to who caught it? Was it Brown that caught it? I think. Noah Brown maybe, or Dion, one of the Browns caught it, whatever. But yeah, so that was the play. Eric Allen finally got into the Hall of Fame. I think this was his last year of eligibility, and Eric Allen is going into the Hall of Fame, part of that gangrene defense in the early 90s, one of the best defenses of all time with Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Seth Joyner, Clyde Simmons, just an all-around great defense. Wes Hopkins, Andre Waters. So it's good to see him get in the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to Eric Allen. So the last time the Eagles had a defensive back make the Hall of Fame was 2017-18, and we all know what happened that year as Connor is wearing the shirt signifying the Eagles were Super Bowl champions in Super Bowl 52. We'll see if the luck runs the same. Also back in Super Bowl 52, the Eagles had players that were sick. They won the Super Bowl. This year, the Eagles had players that were sick. We'll see. In Super Bowl 57, the Chiefs had players, Chris Jones and other players that were sick. They won the Super Bowl, so maybe the key to winning the Super Bowl is just getting sick the week of. We'll see what happens. And Connor, as you said at the beginning of this is going to be a long 48 hours. We're actually, if we want to be exact, 47 hours and 15 minutes away from kickoff in New Orleans, if it actually does kick off at 6:30, which it usually never does. But yeah, I can't wait. I've thought about this game over the course of the 2 weeks in terms of who I'm going to pick, or my score prediction. I think we know who I'm going to pick, but my score prediction. And will it be a blowout? Will it be a close game? Will it be an offensive, showcase like it was 2 years ago? Will the defense step up since the Eagles have the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL? I don't know, man. This has been really tough in terms of determining what type of game it's going to be, but I can't wait for kickoff so that we can stop all the noise of the Chiefs going for a three-peat, Patrick Mahomes being the best ever, the refs, helping the Chiefs, and we can just play football and let the 22, let the 11 players on offense, the 11 players on defense for both teams determine what's going to happen, and who's going to come away Super Bowl 59 champions.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's great that, the players get the 2 weeks to have a break and to get better. Cause like AJ Brown was saying in some of his pressers, he was not 100%. And now he's definitely feeling 100%. He was feeling a lot better in the Commanders game. And then he's feeling like even more himself now. So in a way, it's a blessing to have that 2 weeks. It just makes the media just so nauseating to listen to because they just spew everything. It starts out with somewhat educated conversation, and by the end of week 1 you just get dropped into this terrible bunch of discussions and topics said. Like I mean Cam Newton, that man, whoo boy, he's definitely, like, some of these guys are definitely there for the takes. It is what it is. We can't get too offended by it.
Wouldn't have made the Super Bowl if they played in the AFC, and yet he fails to realize that the Eagles have one loss against AFC teams in the last 3 or 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. He's beaten Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes. The only team they've lost to is the Jets. So, like, can't we just give a team and give a quarterback credit where credit is due? They're winning. And again, I'm going to go back to I don't care how the Eagles win. If they rush for 400 yards, pass for 400 yards, they win 3-2, win 2-0, or win 40-35. I don't give a crap as long as they win. And especially playoff time. It's not about numbers in the playoffs. Who the hell cares? It's about coming away with the victory, surviving and advancing. And that's what the Eagles have done throughout the playoffs. This playoff run kind of reminds me of that 2017. Now, they didn't have the first round bye, but slugfest with Green Bay, slugfest with the Rams before blowing out, putting 55 on the board against Washington. And if you remember that 2017 run, slugfest with Atlanta, blowing out Minnesota before that crazy game against New England in the Super Bowl. It's kind of following that same trajectory, but like anything can happen. It's the Super Bowl. Like, we mentioned the 2 weeks. It helped Landon Dickerson. It helped Cam Jurgens. It helped AJ Brown. Just helped everybody kind of get their feet under themselves. Both teams are healthy coming into the game, and it should be a heck of a battle. Now, will it be like 2 years ago? The 38-35, the Eagles offense was humming. One bad play cost the Eagles the Super Bowl, or is it going to be like we're going to have a defensive punch? This is going to be a physical punch. Punch these guys, somebody punches somebody in the face, they punch back, and we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to the battle. Jalen Carter and Trey Smith. Like, Jalen Carter, I think he's going to make a name for himself in this game, and I can't wait to see the battles because the interior of that Chiefs offensive line is good. Nolan Smith could also make a name for himself. Obviously, I mean, he's been doing great. He's got a sack, I think, in every playoff game this year, and the tackles for the Chiefs are not that great. And the defensive ends for the Eagles could be key in kind of hopefully containing Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to be able to stop him, but if you can contain him, not let him get outside the pocket where him and Travis Kelce can make plays, when they start playing backyard football, and that's when it's tough to play certain offenses. So hopefully the Eagles and Vic Fangio has the defense ready to go. I believe they will. And I know this is a big stage and with a lot of young guys on that defense, but I believe they're ready.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think Vic Fangio obviously is a lot better defensive coordinator than Jonathan Gannon. No matter the fact that Jonathan Gannon is a head coach now, that doesn't matter. Vic Fangio doesn't want to be a head coach. So there's a reason that he's in the seat that he's in, and he's been there with some other teams, is because this is where he wants to be. This is where he knows he's good at what he can do. And he's one of the highest paid coordinators in all of football because he is good at what he does. He doesn't need to be a $10 million coach who could get fired the next year, a la Kellen Moore potentially in New Orleans after this game. But I agree with you. Like, I think Jalen Carter's more than made a name for himself already. He already has the most pressures by a defensive tackle outside of Aaron Donald in one playoff ever. I mean, Nolan Smith has definitely been making a name. Like, we've been talking about that. Nolan Smith has single-handedly shifted the entire conversation on the need at edge. How are you going to attack edge in the offseason? It's still a need. I'm not discounting it's a need. But Nolan Smith, well, yes. But Nolan Smith has shifted that conversation. If you can get Myles Garrett, obviously obviously you're going and you're going to take that shot. But I mean, Myles Garrett across from Nolan Smith suddenly looks like this amazing duo. Plus Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis on the inside. Like, it suddenly makes the likely loss of Milton Williams feel a little less painful. But I mean, ultimately, I agree with you. Jalen Carter's made a name for himself for sure. Nolan Smith is making a name for himself. And like I said, shifting that conversation of the need at edge, because he definitely has shored up the fact that he can be an established edge guy, and he can be a guy who can play 90 to 100% of snaps and be that guy as an edge rusher. So that definitely shifted a conversation that we thought, I mean, hell, just a few weeks ago, before he finally took over, I think, what was it, it wasn't right after the bye, but it was like week 7 or 8 when he started consistently seeing 40 plus snaps a game. Up until that point, it was a very clear conversation of there's a need at edge. We should do a, mid-season pickup, mid-season acquisition. It's a major need in the offseason. It's still a need, but definitely not to the tune that it was.
Well, I think it is because Josh Sweat's going to be gone. Josh Sweat's not coming back.
Yeah, Josh Sweat will be gone.
It's going to be a need, whether it's a trade or free agency. And Bryce Huff probably won't be back. Whether it's a trade, free agency, signing, draft pick, it definitely will be a need. But that's something I'm not really – kind of have to worry about it because we have to get after Patrick Mahomes.
I was going to say, just imagine the conversation that we would be having if Nolan Smith still didn't break out yet. That's the only reason that I brought it up.
If there was one, I hate to use the word positive, but if there was one bright side to the Brandon Graham injury, it was Nolan Smith, him stepping up and turning into the player that the Eagles anticipated him being with the first round pick they took last year. So, and getting Brandon Graham back, even if he's playing even if he only plays 5 snaps, 10 snaps, 15 snaps, whatever it's going to be, I think just having the emotional leader, the guy that likes to talk, the guy that'll bring his fiery attitude on the sideline, having him back out there on the field in pads and uniform with the team, that's only going to provide a spark. Having Nakobe Dean at practice, having Nakobe Dean on the sideline, I think that's going to provide spark. Just provide it for Oren Burks and that linebacker crew. So it's going to be, the biggest question I have right now is what song are the Eagles going to come out to? Dreams and Nightmares was in 2018. It could be anything. It could be the whatever the Gilly dude song is, the whistle song. I don't know what the hell it's called. I'm not a big fan of that guy, but whatever. It could be the 50 Cent song that started this winning 13 of 14 down the stretch for the Eagles when Sirianni had his Britney Spears moment. We'll see, but that's what I'm intrigued about that right now. I'm trying to keep my mind from just thinking about I want to think about the game, but also over the next 47 hours, I'm trying to get this. Like we said at the beginning, this has been the longest 2 weeks, and it's usually that way when your team is in the Super Bowl. Because if your team's not in the Super Bowl, you're sitting there, you're planning your Super Bowl party, and while we're still planning it, it's like your team's in it. So it's so hard to. I hate to use the word enjoy, but it is kind of hard to enjoy the festivities of the Super Bowl when you have a legit rooting interest in the game. But last year when it was the Chiefs and Niners, it was like, whatever, who the heck cares? Just sit there and enjoy the game and watch it. But when the Eagles are in it, when your team is in it, and Dallas fans don't know what this is like for the last 30 years or so, when your team is battling for Super Bowls, it's excruciating sometimes, just because it's like, can we get there? And you think about the week after, if you think about if the Eagles win, when's the parade going to be? How do you get out of work? This, that, and the third. But you obviously don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, because if circumstances don't go your way in the game Sunday night, you're going to be not a happy person. But yeah, it's just a lot to think about. And like you said, I watched Monday night the Eagles portion of opening media night, and I haven't watched anything since.
Even then, it was excruciating. Even some
that wasn't. Not to cut you off, but you couldn't hear questions. Like it was pretty bad. Like that presentation was really bad. And the NFL being the multi-bajillionaire, conglomerate that it is, they got to find a way to do a better job at that.
Yeah, no, I agree definitely on that point. And I mean, I watched certain aspects of it, and you saw some media trying to throw out the conspiracy theories and just having that, trying to get that moment where they get that question in that makes them go viral, and it's like, man, it just doesn't feel like there's a space for that, and it just feels like almost anyone can get a media pass, because some of the people you heard, you don't even know who some of these people were, and some of the questions were just terrible. They were useless. Like even some of the players were sitting there and they were like you saw Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey, and they weren't loving.
Back in the day, there used to be like dumb questions. It just felt like it was a more intimate setting. Like they had this at the Superdome. If they would have had it in a smaller setting, maybe it would have been better. One thing I did realize though, Jameis Winston is going to be a star in the media. He was freaking awesome. I mean, absolutely. I love Jameis Winston after his playing days, and whoever hires him, he is going to be fantastic behind the mic.
You can just tell with some people, like you could tell with Jason Kelsey, you can tell with Travis Kelsey, you can tell with Jameis Winston. There's just guys who have that natural presence and ability about them. And I mean, Jameis Winston's kind of crazy too. Like you can just tell, like he's got it all, but he can put it together so eloquently sometimes. It's great. But I mean, back to the game at hand. I mean, when you look at the Chiefs, like when you look like as a whole, like this is a team that literally got by with, like, they've had the most one-score games in a row, it's 17 in a row. Like they've been wins. Yes, I won't discount it. They are wins, but to the same point, like this is going to be important for the Eagles not to make that mistake, because the issue is that the mistakes have, and whether it be refs or not, I don't want to throw the refs into this, because I semi-agree with some of the stuff that is said, that it is not completely like there's this whole agenda that is out there up against the Chiefs and with the refs. But I do think that, you can't be the team to make the mistake. All these other teams, if you're talking about the refs, you have made multiple mistakes that put you in the position to say the refs are the reason that I lost this game. We saw it with the Washington Commanders 2 weeks ago, and all their fans were in an uproar. Oh, look at that. There's like videos of 10, 12 missed calls. You could probably make the same amount of calls back the other way for the Commanders, that they had missed calls from the referees. And they also had tons of turnovers, lots of situations that just didn't work in their favor. So you want to make sure that you're not the team making the mistake. And one of the things with this Kansas City Chiefs team, this offense ranks number one in time per drive and number one in plays per drive. They can control, and this is with a really mediocre rushing attack. They can control the pace of the game, and that is something that the Eagles have to be able to take away from them. And it comes with a great advantage that we are so good of a rushing attack, because we can also take advantage of controlling the pace of the game and where the game goes and the time of possession, because we have Saquon Barkley, we have Jalen Hurts, and a lot of the discussion has been if you can stop Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley has not. That's been the discussion. What happened when we played the Ravens? What happened when we played the Steelers? What happened in those games?
He only had like 60 yards against the Steelers.
But that's because that was the game they decided to prove that they can throw the football as well. So, but like when those games came up, they still were able to control the game with Saquon Barkley. And there's no way you can say that those 60 yards at some point didn't set something big up in the game with the Steelers. You have to respect Saquon Barkley, and you have to expect that the guy is going to be able to produce and he's going to be able to put up yards. And I know that like a lot of people, like when you look at the overall season, the Kansas City Chiefs defense ranked 8th against the rushing attack. But I think I posted it. It was like 2 weeks ago when we first figured out the Super Bowl matchup. But from week 10 onward, they were giving up 30 to 40 more yards per game than the first 9 weeks of the season rushing wise.
And in the AFC Championship game, the Bills stopped running the football. Like James Cook was averaging six plus yards a carry, had like 80 yards rushing. And like, there's all this talk of the Chiefs defense hasn't given up 100 yards rushing to a running back in a couple of years. They gave up 100 yards in week 1 to Lamar Jackson. But if the Bills run with James Cook, he gets 100 yards rushing. And the Eagles aren't going to stop running the football. If they have success, they're going to run it. And against, if I'm remembering the stat correctly, against the Bills, when the Chiefs had 8 men in the box, the Chiefs averaged like 6 yards a carry. Like you when it comes against facing the Eagles, it's pick your poison, because if you're going to put eight men in the box and you're going to have 1-on-1 with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, good luck. And if you're going to, double one of them and have a light box, then we can run it with AJ Brown, and then haven't even mentioned Dallas Goedert yet, who can tear apart the middle of the field. So again, it's pick your poison. If the Eagles don't make mistakes, they win this game. Like if you're talking about from 1 to 53, the Eagles are a better team. Obviously, the Eagles have the Chiefs have the better head coach, and the Chiefs have the better quarterback. But as a team, 1 to 53, Eagles are better. And it's crazy that the line hasn't moved. I think it's been 1.5 since the matchup has been declared. And obviously, I think that has a lot to do with, the Chiefs being 2 times champs, and nobody's really given Jalen Hurts the respect that he deserves. But, I mean, I think that Jalen is going to come out and try to, and not try, but and prove his doubters that look, he always says it. He doesn't care about stats. All he cares about is winning. And I think that that's 1,000% true when it comes to Jalen Hurts. But if he has that opportunity to sling it, just like he did in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, he had better numbers than Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl 57. One bad play. He could have been the MVP in a loss. But one fumble, it was the difference in the game. And the penalty at the end, which
but we won't go into the refs. We're trying to avoid the refs.
I'm just saying the penalty was
it was ticky-tacky for sure.
If Jalen can just continue, or Jalen can come out, and I think that he's going to want to come out, and they're going to want to probably try to throw the football early, but you don't. If I'm the Eagles, you don't go away with what got you there, and that's Saquon Barkley. But you can use Jalen, obviously, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra. You can use these guys in the passing game to help set up the run.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know, and like everybody talks about Jalen Hurts, and if he can throw, what about up against this blitz that they have in Kansas City? He faces blitz before, and in the last Super Bowl, I think I saw the tweet just today that he threw 74% against the blitz last time that they met.
What I think is funny is in the Super Bowl, like you just said, 74% against the blitz. He had a great game. They lost last year when they played him in the regular season. He didn't play that great, and they won. So like, you don't necessarily need Jalen to outplay Patrick Mahomes to win, but I think that for him and just to go out there and prove that like he belongs in that stratosphere of, now obviously it's Patrick Mahomes, and then go 3 notches below it's Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. He wants to prove that he belongs into that stratosphere of quarterbacks, which if he wins a Super Bowl, I mean, he's already been to 2 Super Bowls. Lamar's been to none, Josh Allen's been to none, Joe Burrow's been to 1. He wins a Super Bowl, there's no reason you don't put him above those 3 guys.
And I know that that's been a discussion point within the national media too. And it's just like the biggest thing is they fixate so much on the skill aspect. And Lamar Jackson is more skilled than Jalen Hurts. Josh Allen's more skilled than Jalen Hurts. But when it comes down to it, and I can't remember who was saying it, but somebody was saying it, Tom Brady was not the best quarterback coming out, and he was not always the best quarterback in specific games, but they were able to win games on the back of Tom Brady, and Tom Brady was a winner as well. It's so important to know, like, you have to be a winner in this. What does Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, what is the lament to their careers if they never make a Super Bowl, if they never win a Super Bowl? Are we just going to sit there and say, well, stylistically and skill-wise, they were amazing? That's not putting you in the Hall of Fame. Eli freaking Manning isn't in the Hall of Fame with 2 Super Bowls.
Well, he's the definition of average, by the way. He is like 500 career.
I know, but I think that it's important to note that if Eli Manning with 2 Super Bowls is this was his first time on the ballot, but say he doesn't get through on the first couple of times because of the debate about it. What about Josh Allen? What about Lamar Jackson? One thing. What about Joe Burrow?
I will say one thing though, and I hate comparing it to the NBA because I think the NBA is the worst product out there. But Michael Jordan kept a lot of people from winning championships. He kept Karl Malone. He kept Charles Barkley. He kept, John Stockton. All these guys are Hall of Famers. So like, Dan Marino is in the Hall of Fame. He didn't win a Super Bowl. So like, I'm not saying you necessarily have to win a Super Bowl to be Hall of Famer. So it has won 2 MVPs. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, Lamar will for sure.
Joe Burrow is on that track to be in the Hall of Fame. Josh Allen is on that track to be in the Hall of Fame. A lot of guys in the AFC are unfortunate because they ran into Tom Brady, and then when he finished, they run into Patrick Mahomes. So like it is unfortunate, and who knows like what would happen if Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen are in the NFC, and going up against the quarterbacks over here in the NFC, and how they could potentially get to a Super Bowl. So like going to the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl is obviously the end all be all. That's what you want. I don't think you necessarily have to win one or even have to get to one to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and I mean, I can see that too. Like, I get it, that it definitely is possible not to need those things, those accolades to get there because there's so many other things that go into it. It's an interesting conversation, and I know that the Eli Manning one's going to go on for many years because he missed this year. What about like if he misses next year and he misses the next year? Because there's a lot of people who feel very passionate about that. A couple comments here. Ewing 609. Hey, welcome aboard as always. We have a Texans fan. Let's go Texans and Eagles. Thank you, Texans. Prods. Tech evening, folks. Here comes the Tanner McKee comments here. Texas Eli Manning is the argument against the Super Bowl win making Hurts great. What are your thoughts on that, LJ?
It depends. I mean, we got to let Jalen's career play out. Jalen's not going to be a 500 quarterback like Eli Manning. I get Eli Manning has the 2 Super Bowls and beat an undefeated Patriots team, and beat Tom Brady twice. But also, if you look at his career record, isn't he like 500? Like the epitome of an average quarterback. Jalen is, you think Jalen is going to continue to win. Like he's not going to just stop winning. So we'll see. And I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts is going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, if he wins multiple Super Bowls, sure. But like at this point in time, like who knows? It's tough because you have to let his career play out. Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback. Would I call him again, I'm not putting him in the stratosphere, obviously, of Mahomes or Jackson, Allen, and Burrow. But if he wins one, he belongs there. Like, he's been to 2. Those 3 have been to a combined 1. That was Joe Burrow. So he could potentially be in that conversation. He's not going to be, again, nobody's going to surpass Patrick Mahomes, but he deserves to be in that caliber of quarterbacks.
San Diego 2019 says, I can't believe that I agree with Tech on something. I mean, I agree. Like, statistically, I don't think he's ever going to wow you. I don't think he's ever going to be that guy.
Care about that.
No, and exactly. And that's the thing. He doesn't care about that. His thought process and Nick Sirianni's thought process and Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lloyd's thought process is we want to win. We won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, who is the definition of below average, but he was able to put together a historic stretch. We were able to win with Carson Wentz, who now historically, if you've watched his career play out, is the definition of, I would probably put him even below average. But we've been able to win with those guys, and that is just a thing in Philadelphia where they care about winning. They want to win games. And that is why I don't know if we're ever going to come to an agreement with the national media, or if we're ever going to come to an agreement with specific sides of the Philadelphia Eagles fan base on Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. Because for some of us, I want to go to my grave saying I got to see 10 Super Bowls for the Eagles. I don't care if I go to my grave saying we have multiple quarterbacks going to the Hall of Fame because statistically they had these amazing careers, but their teams never won anything. I don't know if I would enjoy that as much as the prospect of 3 Super Bowls, 4 Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowls. And let's all be serious. That's what we want. We want Super Bowls. We don't necessarily care if Jalen Hurts. I mean, it would be cool if Jalen Hurts ends up in the Hall of Fame. Hell, we don't even know if we're going to be alive when that situation comes with Jalen Hurts. So at the end of the day, to me, I want to win. I care about winning, and I'm on the side of Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. You can argue over stats and who can if he can throw a football better or runs a football better or any of those situations. I care about winning. I want to see the playoffs, and I want to see the Super Bowl, and I want to see it hoisted by the Eagles.
Honestly, the guy that we should talk about being a Hall of Famer, Howie Roseman. Like, let's be real.
As an executive, for sure.
This is his. Jalen is also the first quarterback in Eagles history to go to the Super Bowl twice. Nick Sirianni is the first coach in Eagles history to go to the Super Bowl twice. We have the opportunity for 4 players to win 2 championships in Philadelphia. Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham, Rick Lovato, Jake Elliott. The last time an athlete won 2 championships in Philly, and I think that was the Flyers in the 70s. So we're talking about 50 years. So again, I think we need to live in the moment. We can't I don't get, like, we shouldn't be dissecting all this. Let's enjoy what we have now, because we could be the Cleveland Browns. We could be the New York Jets.
We've done it. We've done it before. We've gone from the top to the bottom in a hurry. We went from, can't remember what we were that year before. We were 4-11-1, but we were definitely above 500 that year prior. We've seen the ups and the downs. We've been there, and you definitely want to take advantage. And I think that that's often missed in the whole conversation around the NFL. Only 2 teams make the Super Bowl, and only 1 team wins the Super Bowl. And there's been this is Super Bowl 59. So there's been 59 Super Bowl winners. Like, you have to understand, only 59 teams have been able to hoist this. And then you look back at the Patriots, they owned an era. Now the Chiefs are owning an era. So you have to remember, like, if you get this moment, if you get into this spotlight and this chance, Dallas Cowboy fans would give for this for one of these moments, one of them. And so we do, in a way, have to live in the moment and not argue about it. Although I think it would be a very fun episode to get 100 people in our comments section and debate Nick Sirianni being a Hall of Fame coach if he wins the Super Bowl. Just saying, if there's any conversation that would be the funnest to have, it would be, if Sirianni wins the Super Bowl and continues to win at the rate he is he a Hall of Famer? Because I can promise you there's a ton of Eagles fans who, even with this Super Bowl, will not see Sirianni in a respectful, light that you should see a coach like Sirianni the way he's been. If
Nick Sirianni wins the Super Bowl, you can't talk bad about him. Like, he's going to get a contract extension.
You shouldn't be able to. You shouldn't be able to. But
damn, there was one thing I did want to say. We all thought that, like, after that Patriots dynasty, the Patriots run, that, like, we wouldn't see it again. And then, of course, the Chiefs come along. Like, is there not, like, after this Chiefs dynasty, whenever this may end, because Patrick Mahomes is 29, 28, 29, whatever, he's still young. Andy Reid is still doing his thing. Like, is that it? Like, or is it going to be like, is the next quarterback, is the quarterback of the next dynasty in high school right now? You know what I mean? And hopefully he goes to the AFC so that the Eagles still have a chance. Whatever.
Tech says Howie is the best Eagle ever after BDN.
I think Howie brought him back. I mean, I think it's Howie. I mean, it has to be Howie, right? And remember, Howie got lambasted. Howie I wanted Howie gone when they fired Doug. So I was wrong.
We were airing episodes together because we've been doing this for, I think this is our 7th or 8th year. I can't even remember.
Since that 2018 Super Bowl, pretty much that season.
Okay, so we've been doing, so this is our 7th season. And I remember a grit for at least a season or two. LJ Harrell would never have put Howie Roseman in Hall of Fame in the same sentence. So we have come a long way on this show.
I wanted Howie to stay on as the cap guy, but I wanted us to hire a football guy. And Howie has nailed his
Look at his
drafts.
last 3 drafts. My.
The free agent now, I mean, obviously not every free agent. Bryce Huff didn't hit. 2017, all those free agents said they were a bunch of one-year deals. LeGarrette Blount, trading for Jay Ajayi, Alshon Jeffrey, like every trade for Ronald Darby, like everything hit in 2017. That's why he won the Super Bowl. And then he decided to bring all the old guys back. That didn't really work out. And then he took Rager over Jefferson. But you think about it, like if we take Jefferson, do we have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith? If we take Bijan Robinson, if the Falcons didn't take him, do we have Jalen Carter and Saquon Barkley? Like things happen for a reason, and it's worked out, for the most part for Howie and the Eagles.
Yeah, it definitely has worked out for Howie and the Eagles. San Diego 2019 says Howie should definitely get in there. There are a lot of teams that you guys mentioned that don't really try to win. NFL shares profits, so they don't really have to win to make money.
I mean, Dallas is, I think, the epitome of that, because all Jerry just wants to. Jerry doesn't.
He wants to manage, and he wants to make money. He wants to be the guy. You can tell with every press conference that he's done, especially with the hiring of Schottenheimer, that he wants to be in the middle of making decisions, good or bad. He doesn't care. He wants to make decisions. And like he's made the statement where he said, I don't own a team not to be a part of the decision making. Essentially, that's not verbatim, but that's essentially what he said. And you can definitely tell Jeffrey Lurie, is he involved in the head coach and hiring? Definitely. Has he missed on some? A couple, but even like Chip Kelly, even though you can definitely say it was a miss, it had its moments where it kind of started to look like a hit. But Jeffrey Lurie has definitely, he knows where his boundaries are. Jeffrey Lurie is not going into, that we know of, he is not going into the war room on draft night and saying, he wants to know about his team, and he wants to be involved to an extent, like you said. He doesn't want to get blindsided by things. I mean, he mentioned this week during one, he was getting interviewed at media night. He's like, when we hire coaches, we interview and hire coaches that nobody else was interviewing. Andy Reid was a quarterback's coach. Nobody was interviewing him. Doug Peterson was an offensive coordinator, didn't really call plays, but nobody was interviewing him. And Nick Sirianni was the offensive coordinator, but wasn't really calling plays. Nobody was interviewing him. Chip Kelly was the head coach at Oregon, and there was interest in him, but that kind of was still out of the blue. Nobody really thought that Chip Kelly was going to become the head coach of the Eagles until he became head coach of the Eagles. That's one thing that Lurie does deserve credit for, because he has a set of principles that the type of culture that he wants his team to abide by, that he wants his coach to abide by. And if they don't fit that, they're not getting hired by the Eagles. The one thing I like when it came to Sirianni, he did not expect to get interviewed. He was on vacation in Florida with his family, didn't have a suit, didn't have this. And they were like, just come in wearing whatever. And they, Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, they even went, they didn't dress up in suits. They wanted Sirianni to feel comfortable. And the one thing that I do like about Sirianni is he hasn't changed once. And he always talks about it, because if he is changed up, the players will know that he's being fake, and then they won't trust him. He has been the same guy since day one. And that's why his players love him and love playing for him. Absolutely. I mean, they went during the bye week and they had a discussion with him because they felt, some of what he was doing was not who Nick Sirianni was. And then since then, the team has been on this almost unbeatable roll through the rest of the season. And it's been great to see. I mean, we have been judgmental of Nick Sirianni, but I don't think we've ever been completely off of Nick Sirianni like a lot of people. As he said, did the opening press conference rub us the wrong way, sure, we made some comments. But I mean, at the end of the day, we've been fairly on board, because at the end of the day, at the NFL, it's about winning. You got to win. If you want the ultimate Super Bowl, if you want to get to this moment where we're living in, where we've barely talked about this game at all, you're living in this moment, and you're taking this moment for what it is, because it does not happen very often. There are only, my math is not very good, 58 times 2 is only 116 other team, and not even the teams all together, but there's only been 58 moments, 2 teams, 116 that this has happened for. And you have to live in the moment and take that moment for what it is, for sure. And I agree with you. And we've gotten off of the topic of the game at hand. But I mean, if you've been watching anywheres, you know the talking points, you know what we could have said. But to live in the moment and take this in for what it is, it's crazy, man. I still can't believe that we're back in the Super Bowl. Everything, like, from where we were during the bye week on our bye week episode, and
how last year ended.
And how last year ended, like from those episodes and where we were. And it was like, we were on the Nick Sirianni train. We were maybe not on that train, but we were in the discussions about, falling for the whole discussion of, should we fire him? Should it be considered? And it's come to such a point. Like, I don't even, like, for the Chiefs, it's a three-peat. I get it. It's super special, the opportunity for a three-peat. For the Eagles, you had this absolutely monumental collapse last season. It kind of had this air of continuing on into this season, and then it completely turned around. Like, to me, it just feels so different. So, like, things turn around so fast, the tides turn so quick, and there's so many different things to definitely say about it all. But I mean, I definitely agree with living for the moment and talking for the moment. Tech, I agree. I almost want to go back and rewatch the bye week episode, because I want to know what we were saying. But I know we were fully, because it was part of, the whole media's attention was all around Nick Sirianni and is he going to make it through the bye week? So I remember for certain we definitely talked about that. And obviously, were we going to be able to turn it around? What did we have to do to turn it around? And I know one of the big things was the defense had to turn things around. And as LJ likes to allude to, he didn't give Vic Fangio enough time. We should have known in Miami, with how long it took Miami to finally get going defensively. We should have known in that moment it wasn't going to be the first 4 weeks of the season that dictated where this defense was going to go and how it was going to get there.
This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. Underwear drawers are like the Wild West. You never know what you're going to pull out or what shape it's in. So upgrade your collection with the buttery soft comfort of MeUndies. MeUndies' signature fabric is as soft as a warm hug from your favorite sweater. Plus, it's breathable and oh so comfy, making it ideal for all-day wear. Get 20% off your first order, plus free shipping at MeUndies.com/Spotify with code Spotify. That's MeUndies.com/Spotify, code Spotify.
Yeah. I thought that, the game had passed them by, but all it took was taking Avonte Maddox out and putting Cooper DeJean in. He's so much better. I mean, getting Avonte Maddox off the field on the defense was key. All right, so we got to give our prediction. We still have to give our offensive player, defensive player some keys. And with your prediction, give your Super Bowl MVP. Earlier, San Diego says, I can't predict scores, but after seeing the team finally put it all together in the Washington game, I feel so good about an Eagles win. Offensive star Barkley, defensive star Bond playing back at the team, playing back in the stadium of the team that drafted him. And Barkley had a huge run earlier this year in New Orleans in a game that the Eagles offense was struggling, but Barkley was able to help them out. Ravens.
Oh, we got a Ravens fan.
Please win Sunday.
You know it's a good night where you got a Texans fan and a Ravens fan.
Well, there are a lot of teams. There are a lot. I mean, Cowboys fans won't root for the Eagles. Giants fans probably won't. But man, we know with Saquon, Washington fans probably won't. But there are a lot of teams, a lot of people that do not want the Chiefs to win again. So,
yeah. I mean, the three-peat. I'm not gonna lie. The three-peat would be just this amazing thing. You're probably never gonna. I know we ain't seeing it again in our lifetime.
We thought that we weren't going to see another dynasty in our lifetime.
Well, this is true.
After the Patriots, and look what we have now.
Yeah, Ravens 76 B
We
more.
hate
We hate
KC.
KC, of course. And Tech says, "Hey, B more, let's go." Yeah, definitely. I mean, welcome aboard. We'll take you for a night. And I agree. I love Andy Reid, and it pains me to cheer
There's one thing I
against
do want
Andy
to say,
Reid. But
and you bringing up Andy Reid, I do not want this to be a lovey-dovey game. 2 years ago, the Kelsey brothers, Andy Reid coaching against his team, a couple players on the team that Andy drafted. Get it? Nah, this is. I do not want none of that lovey-dovey crap. This is personal. This is about revenge. Yeah, we're not having. This isn't about good try. No. This is go out there and beat the crap out of the Kansas City Chiefs. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. You go and beat. That's why I say I hate to do it, but I'm not going to be lovey-dovey with Andy Reid. It's time. You got your chance. You beat us. Here we come. And of all the teams, like this team feels better than the team 2 years ago that faced that. So I feel good about this. And I mean, obviously that is probably a prelude to my prediction and stuff, but let's get to it.
Go ahead. Give your players of the game.
I mean, I'm going with AJ Brown on this one. The simple one is Saquon Barkley. But you are 100%. There is no way. I understand what we do and how this offense runs, but there is no way we are winning this Super Bowl strictly on the back of a 300-yard rushing game by Saquon Barkley. It would be amazing. Once in a lifetime thing. But you are going to have Jalen Hurts throw the football. You are going to have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, a handful of these guys make some big plays as pass catchers. And A.J. Brown says he's feeling better. He wasn't feeling top-notch. He started to look better in the Washington game. Now this is a game. You know that Jalen Hurts in a big moment is going to look for that one-on-one moment with A.J. Brown. And I think this is going to be one of those games where A.J. Brown goes off for goes off. I think he's going to end up with over 100 receiving yards, and I think he's going to end up with at least one touchdown. I definitely think it's going to happen. And, I mean, that just goes to show, like, Jalen Hurts is definitely, I think, despite what everyone thinks about Saquon Barkley and that, we have to run and we're going to run a lot, I do still think Jalen Hurts is going to end up throwing for probably 250-plus yards. I do think at the end of the day, we saw it in the last Super Bowl, and obviously we didn't have Saquon Barkley, but you're going to end up having to throw the ball despite how much Saquon Barkley may dominate. At times, you're going to end up in situations where you're going to be forced to throw that football. So A.J. Brown is going to be my key player on the offensive side of the ball. As far as don't give up on the run. Definitely my keys to the game. And I know it's contradictory to A.J. Brown as my player of the game, but don't give up on the run because this is a mediocre run defense. Statistically, when you look at the great big picture, they're top 10. But at the end of the season, they started to give up yards. And like you said, in some games, teams had to move away from the run. They have to move away from the run. We are not a team that should be moving away from the run. We should definitely be all over continuing to run Saquon Barkley down their throat because we know all it takes is 150-yard run, 140-yard run. Just a couple of those in this game could be the big difference maker. Defensively, I'm going Jalen Carter. I've gone Nolan Smith for, I'd say, a handful of the past few games. I'm going Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter has an opportunity to take advantage of an offensive line that's been good, not great. I also think they're kind of good because Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback. And like you said, when they start doing those magical things, they can kind of discount how weak the offensive line can be at some points. And obviously they're missing a key cog in the middle of that offensive line as well. Jalen Carter started to take over that Washington game. He started to by himself take over games. And it's going to take Jalen Carter taking over, ensuring that they can't get a run game going and ensuring that Patrick Mahomes is kind of contained a bit, which is my key to the game. Contain Patrick Mahomes. You know, when he gets that Houdinery going on, that's when he makes the plays. If you give him, if it's 3rd and 7 and he gets out of that pocket and he gets running, you can almost guarantee the man is getting a first down. You got to keep him in that pocket. You got to try and contain him. Do not let him get away. And defensively, you know it's going to be watched closely. Do not make stupid plays or hits on Patrick Mahomes or retaliatory plays on somebody, Travis Kelce, for example, standing over you after a play. Do not do the retaliatory stuff because it is 100% always going to get called. Be smart. I am not one of those who is of the ilk that there is a controversy, but I'm just saying the refs will catch the retaliatory stuff. So play smart, be smart, and Jalen Carter take over the game.
Fortunately, the Super Bowl, they kind of let the guys play a little bit more. So hopefully that continues. Just let them play, and we'll see what happens. All right. On the defensive side of the football, my key is tackle in space. The Chiefs aren't the type that really will go downfield. They'll try to get the ball in space to Xavier Worthy, Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, and they'll kind of dink and dunk their way. They don't really have the explosive plays down the field. Maybe they're saving them for this week. Who the heck knows? And Pacheco is really Pacheco runs like he's trying to break through the ground. It's crazy. But tackling in space is going to be very key for the Eagles. The player that I'm looking forward is going to be Cooper DeJean, because I think Cooper DeJean is going to be the guy that's might handle Travis Kelce. And again, Travis Kelce doesn't have, when they call plays, Travis Kelce doesn't have a route that he runs. He runs whatever against the defense that's playing. So it's going to be key I think it's going to be Cooper DeJean. It might be CJ GJ, whoever's on Travis Kelce to bottom up. Don't let him get over. My issue, Ertz in the NFC Championship game had 11 catches over 100 yards, 120 yards, or whatever it was. Now, the Eagles really weren't playing for that. The Eagles are going to plan for Kelce. But if Ertz was able to do that, Kelce's better, even at his age. So that's my thing. So try to contain Kelce, tackle in space.
Fun fact on the tight end perspective: through the whole regular season, we were the number one team against tight ends. But like you said, in that circumstance against Washington Commanders, maybe if you go back and watch your film, Jane Daniels was taking what was given to him, and we were giving him the Zach Ertz because maybe we were more confident tackling him in space than other people. So I don't know. I mean, Travis Kelce is definitely a different breed than Zach Ertz and a different breed than the majority of tight ends we faced, but just worth noted.
Yeah. So, and you know that while Kelce has said that he wants to play another couple of years, you never know. Maybe he wins a Super Bowl, he decides to propose to Taylor Swift and go off into the sunset. Who the heck knows?
Please, no. Please. I see that so much, and I'm like, oh, it would make me cringe so much to see that.
On the offensive side of the football, also, like you had mentioned, on the defensive side of football, contain
Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, Patrick Mahomes.
Come on now.
Don't let him outside the pocket. And if you remember in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, after halftime, he went in with an ankle injury and came out in the fourth quarter and had that long run. So don't get lulled to sleep. And I am contemplating if I want somebody to, because we know how he likes to bait players. He'll slide late. He'll step out of bounds late. I'm debating, does just one person take one for the team early in the game so he knows that they're not scared. They'll pop him because somebody needs to pop him. And while I want it to be clean, maybe take a 15-yard penalty early in the game, not late. On the offensive side of the football, and I'm not saying hurt him. I'm just saying, bro, if you're gonna slide late, you're gonna get one into the chin. On the offensive side of the football, how about? I'm going Devontae Smith as my player. He has averaged in the 3 games that they've played the Chiefs 7 catches and 110, 100 and some odd yards. He has done an outstanding job. And when you have AJ Brown on the other side and you have to worry about him, and now you have to worry about Saquon, if you're going to leave Schmitty one-on-one, I don't know if the Chiefs have a corner. I know they have McDuffie, and I know that they have Jalen Watson. I don't know if I don't know how you're going to be able to stop both of the receivers if the Eagles get the passing game going. I think Devontae Smith should be able to work the middle of the field, work the sidelines. He should be able to move all across the field, and he can beat whoever is covering him. So I'm going to go Devontae Smith on offense, and I'm going to go Cooper DeJean on defense. And on the offensive side of the football, my key is protect the football. And Jalen, or I'm going to Kellen Moore. Don't go outside of what you do, of what got you here. Obviously, Saquon has gotten you guys here, and we know that they're able to throw the football when needed. Don't get fancy. The one thing I found interesting in the NFC Championship game, they started doing the Devontae Smith in motion, the toss pass to him, jet sweeps with the tight end. I like that creativity, but I don't need to see reverses. I don't need to see flea flickers. I don't need to see something that's out of your norm, because if you go out of your norm, that means is in your head, and we don't want that. You can score on this team. You can score with this team. Don't do anything outside of you, and you have a chance to come away with the victory.
And on the man-to-man front, it's
Eagles are wearing their green uniforms, by the way, Ravens. The
yes.
Midnight green. I wish it was Kelly green, but you're not allowed to wear
green on white. The Kansas City Chiefs play man 30% at the time. So 1 in 3 snaps by that math. It's the 12th ranked in the defensively in the NFL. So if you're going to go man-to-man, we know that Jalen Hurts loves the opportunity to go man-to-man and take advantage of A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith in that circumstance. So ironically, you taking Smith and me taking Brown, either could have a big game. Both could have big games. We'll see.
Well, and I mean, while the Chiefs have faced Baltimore, good offense, the Bills, I don't know if they faced an offense that has a great running back, a great offensive line, two great receivers, and a really good tight. Like, Eagles have that full package. Spags can draw up blitzes. Spags can find a way to come away, or find a way to slow you down. But to stop this offense, I don't know if they'll be able to. So I'm expecting the Eagles to be able to do some damage. All right. With your prediction, give your Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl MVP. Wow.
And I have mine written down too, so I can't change it up.
I'm going Jalen Carter. I picked him as my key player, and
Carter as the MVP.
An MVP. Sure.
He's gonna win he's gonna win the defensive MVP.
Yep.
Or he's gonna win the MVP as a defensive tackle.
I'm going with it. Yep. I'm going with it. I think he's been a difference maker. He's a big difference maker. And I feel like, that he could have that one play. He could have that one big game changing play that alters the whole game, which obviously in some cases won't necessarily get you the MVP. And as we saw with Kenyon Mitchell, sometimes, not not going in their direction or not doing something can cost you that stuff because you can't get the statistics. But yeah, I'll go Jalen Carter. And then score 31-28 for the Eagles.
31-28.
31-28. I'm going a bit less than the last time we faced them because I think both defenses are a bit better, but not a whole lot because offense wins championships. So it could push the envelope. So
yeah, I think, and we didn't talk about it a lot, but I think Jalen Carter is going to have to win that matchup against Trey Smith or even the other guard, because the left guard for the Chiefs is their weak link on the offensive line. The left guard is what the heck is his name? I have it right here. Mike Caliendo. He is the weak link, and I think Jalen Carter is going to line up all over the defensive line, and he's going to obviously Humphrey's going to help out on him, but I think he's going to have to make a play or two, and I think he will make a play or two. My MVP is going to be Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is. I said he doesn't have to outplay Mahomes for the Eagles to beat the Chiefs, but I also remember what happened. What was Jalen Hurts' screensaver after Super Bowl 57? Him walking off the field with the red and yellow confetti, right? He doesn't want to feel that anymore. He doesn't want to feel that again. I think Jalen Hurts is going to ball, and I think Jalen Hurts is going to have a great game. I still think Saquon's going to have over 100 yards rushing. Saquon's going to get his plays, but I think Jalen is going to come out, and it's going to almost be like that Super Bowl 57, the way he was throwing the ball all over the field. Timing, anticipation, I think we're going to see that. I have the Eagles winning 31-27. I saw that. I was going to ignore it. Way to continue with the bet, Quentin. Appreciate it. But I say 31-27 Eagles. It's going to be close. I think the Eagles are going to be up 31-27, and Patrick Mahomes is going to have the ball going down the field for the win. And the Eagles are going to make a play. Cooper DeJean is going to make a play. Eagles are going to win 31-27, win their second Super Bowl in 8 years. And there's going to be a parade down Broad Street sometime next week after the snow.
And Ravens 76 be more MVP Barkley all day. I mean, it's hard to pick who it'll be. It probably is going to be an offensive player. I'm probably going a little way off the page here, but yeah, it's definitely probably going to be an offensive player, and it could end up being, like you said, Hurts. It could end up being Barkley, and we don't know if it's Hurts. Maybe there's one receiver who's on the receiving end of a lot of big plays that makes him the MVP. It'll be interesting to see, but I just can't wait. This next 46 hours cannot go by quick enough. We all know that game's starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, so let's be real. So
yeah, it unfortunately never starts on time. But thank you all for tuning into the Super Bowl edition of the Kelly Green Hour. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs are set to do battle in Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, Louisiana at the Caesars Superdome. The Philadelphia Eagles looking for their second Super Bowl in franchise history. The Kansas City Chiefs looking for their third consecutive Super Bowl for the first time ever. As always, follow us on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. Follow Connor on Twitter at Connor10. Follow me on Twitter at LGHerold54. Follow the Eagles Pinpool Network on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, and wherever you get your podcast. Like, subscribe, review. Let us know how we're doing. Thank you, Q, for reminding everybody. Like and subscribe. We will be back on Monday, hopefully drunk and no kidding. Hopefully hungover from a victorious hopefully to revel in an Eagles Super Bowl victory. Everybody, 46 and a half hours away. Enjoy the game. Even if you don't have a team in the fight, just enjoy. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Should be a national holiday afterwards. I'm just saying, if I ever become president, the day after the Super Bowl will be a national holiday. That's the platform I'm going to run on, so hopefully you vote for me if I ever run.
Anything's possible in the U.S.
Well, that's very true.
LJ for president.
Yes, that is very true with the circumstances that we are going through now. But yes, enjoy 2028. If you guys help me start the GoFundMe, we can do this. I am old enough now. I could have ran this year or whatever last year, but didn't have the money. Sorry, didn't mean to get off track. Enjoy the Super Bowl. The NFL season goes by way, way, way too fast. And then we have a long 7-8 months after the Super Bowl before it comes back. So enjoy the game. Hopefully the Eagles win. For Connor, I'm LJ. Thank you for tuning in to the Kelly Green Hour.
Fly, Eagles, fly.